Hey, good afternoon, Pro Starters. This is Chef Jackson Lamb over at Metropolitan State University of Denver. Today we are talking about stocks, sauces, and soups. Man, this is my favorite subject matter. You know why? It all begins with stocks. From stocks, we add mirepoix, we add water, we add aromatics, and that turns into a beautiful, delicious liquid, which from there we can create soups, we can create sauces. It's the beginning of our industry. It's fantastic. So let me get into a couple of key things here. Number one, all stocks have four main ingredients, and that is whatever meat or bones we're working with. This could be chicken bones, veal bones, beef bones. It can be shrimp shells. It can be lobster shells. We can use all of those. We're going to use water. Mirepoix, I mentioned that earlier. Mirepoix is a combination of onions, carrots, and celery, and they are what make the stock flavorful. And the last item is aromatics, and this could be a onion piqué, where we take an onion and we brown it. We've got studs of clove stuck in there with a bay leaf. So these are how we flavor our sauces. You know, once we start making stocks come in various amount of types and sizes, including bouillon, glace, as in demi-glace, remoulage. Remoulage is when we take bones and we make stock, and then we do it again. Remoulage, it's translated as a re-wetting of the bones. You'll see that in your textbook. Of course, there's white stock and brown stock. What's the difference there? White stock is when we just take our bones, let's just say chicken bones. We take raw chicken bones, we rinse them, we put them into cold water, we start cooking with them immediately. We're going to release the flavor from those bones, we're going to add mirepoix, but at the end we have a very clear liquid. On the other hand, if we take those chicken bones and if we roast them and we get them to a nice golden brown, and if we take the mirepoix and we roast that as well and we get a little char going there on the onions and the carrots and the celery, we put those together with water and the aromatics. Now we have a brown stock. Remember, the darker the bones, the darker the stock. It doesn't say that in the textbook, but as a chef who's been doing this for 35 years, that really is how we make a great stock. All right? Moving ahead, once we have a stock, we can come up with a jus, as in au jus. We see that in prime rib. We can actually make stock without any of those bones that I talked about. We can make vegetable stock with various root vegetables. So that's all in the world of stocks. Stocks are the entryway into sauces and soups. Sauces. This is the chapter where we talk about the mother sauces. These are the five main sauces that Escoffier and Carême thought the entire sauce world rotated around. Those sauces are a bechamel sauce, which is made from cream, brown sauce, which is typically made from beef, a chicken velouté, that is a chicken stock, hollandaise, that is a stock. It's really not a stock at all, it's a sauce, but hollandaise is it's made from butter and egg yolks. It's a classic. Hollandaise becomes béarnaise and a few other sauces as well. And then there's tomato sauce. So tomato sauce can become marinara sauce. It can become a bolognese sauce. It can become a ragu sauce. So those are the five basic sauces that it all begins with. You know, as we're making stock and then we're making sauces, we've got to talk about thickeners. And so there are several thickeners you should be aware of. Number one is roux. Roux is when we combine butter or oil with flour to make a binding agent. Well, there's a couple of different ways we can make roux. We can make a white roux, we can make a blonde roux, or we can make a brown roux. The darker the roux, the darker the sauce, just like in stock making. There are other ways to tighten up or thicken our stocks to create sauces. A beurre manie. That is when we take cubes of butter that have been dredged in flour. We add those one at a time to a thin sauce, and that will help it thicken up. There's a cornstarch slurry. You know, so many of our friends and neighbors are gluten intolerant. Cornstarch is a terrific way to thicken up anything without bringing gluten into the mix. But we just can't add cornstarch directly. We have to mix it with water to make a It's called a slurry. It's a little paste that we're going to add to the liquid that will thicken up a sauce or any liquid. All right. We can also add what we call a liaison. Liaison is when we add eggs or egg yolk to a given sauce. Alfredo sauce is a great example of that, and that helps bind it together. And then last, there's a natural reduction. When we were talking about stocks just previously, I mentioned glace, demi-glace, and jus. Well, if we take stock and we reduce by natural reduction, what's going to happen is we're going to evaporate a lot of the water, and what we're left with is a demi-glace, which is a thick, wonderfully delicious, it's a wonderfully delicious sauce reduction. That's really what it is. Let's continue. We talked about stock, we talked about sauces. Let's talk about soups. When we talk about soups, there are basically three different types. We've got clear soups and we've got thick soups. On the clear soup side, this would be like a French onion soup. This would be like a consommé. These are on the thin side. You know, chicken noodle soup is really a clear soup when you think about it. When we talk about thick soups, that would be cream soups, that would be bisques, chowders, and purees. You know, when we're talking about a bisque, typically bisque means presence of cream. When we talk about chowder, typically it means presence of corn and potatoes. So clam chowder has potatoes and corn as well as clams. Interesting. Let's continue here. As we are kind of wrapping up this edition of Chapter 19, Stocks, Sauces, and Soups. You know, here in our kitchens down at Metro State University, you can see that we've got a complete kitchen ready to go with all types of equipment. I should be able to move around here so you can see the rest of my kitchen. Come on over here. Yeah. So when we're making soup, stocks, and sauces, we've got all the equipment that we need here at Metro State. You know, I've gone on entirely too long. This is Chef Jackson Lamb. I'm signing off for Level 1 ProStart. We'll see you at the next chapter. Thanks, everybody.